Real name is Travis, either way. I go by either one. And today we're going to talk about ARP spoofing. I'm going to give kind of a lower level discussion in the very beginning. Kind of do some introductory to kind of the history. Yeah.
Were you at enter some?
Huh?
Were you at enter some?
So kind of give an intro to basically what ARP is and kind of give a history on it, and then kind of go into some of the vulnerabilities of the ARP protocol, and then hopefully do a live demo. We'll see how that goes. And then kind of follow up with some lessons learned and some countermeasures that you can do to prevent against ARP spoofing. Okay, there we go. All right, well, first off, I'm going to do a little advertisements here. Go ahead and get that out of the way. Just like Thomas Hall was talking in the beginning, I currently go to UNC Charlotte as well. They have a information security and privacy program. The reason why I say that is I didn't really know what to expect when I first went there, but it's kind of it's a really good program. They got a lot of great instructors and courses. They have, and actually I was hoping to have my laptop up here with me, but I'll go ahead. Flip to my browser. Okay, so just quickly, if you, man, it's real shitty, but either way, there's kind of some courses they have, and they also have a scholarship program, a government scholarship program. This is it right here. Basically, it's called the Carolina Cyber Defender Scholarship, and for all, I know we got a lot of young people here, but it's for also graduates as well. So basically, what it is, the government, they'll flip the bill for your schooling for 2 years, and they'll give you a stipend as well. And currently, it's around 12 to 13 grand per year. So they pay for your tuition, they pay for your books, they pay for all of that, and you get the 13 grand stipend per year. And then you're guaranteed a job with the government afterwards. And everybody I know that's graduated this program is went to work for the NSA. So, except for one guy who went to work for the post office. So, whatever. You can choose which government program you want to go into, but obviously the sexy job is the NSA. And right here, they have a little cyber defender contest for colleges, and actually UNC Charlotte won it. So I was kind of figured, yeah, good deal. And basically, this is it's just a defense type of a competition. There is no offense. It's just who can defend the best. And it was held in San Antonio, and I think out of like 20 schools or so, they came up #1, so they did a pretty good job. So
there's no open offense in a lot of the defense.
Huh? It's just it's the organization that hosts it does it, and then they basically see how they can patch. So, but okay, so now all my ads are out of the way. So just some acknowledgements first. I want to thank the NC 2600 group for hosting everything. They did a great job last year, and yeah, we're from the Charlotte crew. We're kind of the minority here, but the Raleigh crew kind of dominates. So, and I want to thank all the attendees for coming, and hopefully you'll get something out of this. I know you paid your $20. Hopefully you'll learn something or have some fun. So I'm hoping this is going to add to the value. And Black Hat activity is really promoted by NC 2600. So it's kind of the things that we talk about here, and the things Matt's showing, you kind of like, you don't learn to hack, you kind of hack to learn. So, okay, that's out of the way now. I'm gonna quit preaching and quit advertising. Okay, basically ARP, it stands for Address Resolution Protocol, and basically it's a protocol that ties your physical MAC address, your media access control, to your IP address. And basically it's a protocol that you may or may not know that you're using on a day-to-day basis. If you communicate with any other device, you're going to be using this ARP protocol in the background. So I'm going to go into a little bit of history of ARP and kind of how it came about. So back in the late 70s, early 80s, when they were first had network control cards and these massive computers, it was only these large organizations and these government entities that wanted to say, okay, we've got this computer over here, we wanted to talk to this computer in the room, So basically, that's kind of how they did it back then. And then as, computers became cheaper and network control cards became cheaper, and then they have maybe a computer in another location, say, in another state that they want to communicate with, and they're on different levels. So basically, in order to kind of correlate between the two, you have to use ARP. I mean, kind of what LAN does is it uses the Ethernet MAC address. So LAN is more looking at MAC. So if it's just you and me and one other person in the room, then we can just say, okay, I want to talk to you and you. So I know you three. So I don't need to have some fancy global IP addressing. So it's a flat scale. It's real flat. When you're talking about internet and WANs, you're getting to, okay, now there's thousands upon thousands of different people that I want to talk to. So I can't necessarily have a flat addressing scheme. If you want to think about it as addressing for like your home or your apartment, if I want to send you a letter, basically I'm going to have a hierarchical system of sending it to you. First I'm going to say, okay, I want to go to this state, and then this zip code, and then this street address. It wouldn't really be feasible for us to say, hey, I want to communicate with Bob, so I'm just going to communicate through him through his, say, social security number, which is a unique ID for him. You want to have a hierarchical system so that there's nothing tied to him, and he can kind of float wherever he wants. So you'll have a unique identifier, say his social security number, but he can move to another location. So think of it that way, where your social security number is kind of like your MAC address, and IP is kind of like your, your street address, and that can move with you. And also you can have more than one of them too. So that's kind of where ARP came from, and so they can actually tie those two together, and that's how they're going to communicate. So if you want to communicate with somebody somewhere else, you have to know their IP address and also their MAC address. And ARP, it takes care of that. So, little intro, kind of how ARP works. And I got a little diagram coming up, so don't worry about trying to digest all of this. But basically, we got two devices, device A and device B. Okay, device A needs both the MAC address and the IP address to communicate with B. So let's say device A knows the IP address of, knows the IP address but not the MAC address of device B. So the router closest to device B will have to perform what they call an ARP request to obtain the MAC address from device B. Okay, and every device on a LAN or a WAN keeps an ARP table. Now this ARP table simply has the mappings of MAC address to IP address within that table. And it's kept with frequently updated devices they're trying to talk to. So they don't have to constantly do this ARP request and reply back all the time. So if the router close to device B contains a MAC address already, then device B then has to send a ARP request, or excuse me, a reply. So here's kind of the little drawing I'm talking about here. So here's the host A up here. So its first step is to it's going to check its own ARP cache. So okay, I want to talk to device B. Do I already have his MAC address? No, I don't. So I'm going to have to do a request. So then it's going to go to the device closest to B, more like a gateway, something like that. And so the router says, okay, I don't have host B's MAC address, so I'm going to send that. And then B's going to go, okay, I'm going to send you back my MAC address. So now their ARP entry is now updated. And then they're going to send that information back to host A. So once all the information is communicated back and forth, then they can just go ahead and communicate from there on out. So, some of the vulnerabilities of this protocol. Well, there's no authentication whatsoever. And by that, what I mean is, I could pretend to be whomever I want to be. And you could pretend to be whoever you wanted to be. And we wouldn't necessarily know that we could trust that we were talking to each other. So if device A wanted to talk to device B, there's no trust whatsoever that they're going to actually be talking to them. So any attacker could monitor intercept, or manipulate traffic within that protocol. And ARP is perfect for what they call a man-in-the-middle attack, where basically you sit in the middle between traffic. So for the A and the B there, if I was somewhere in between, or let's just say I'm the router, or I can pretend to be the router, and all of a sudden, even between B to router or A to router, I can sit there and be the man in the middle, and all of a sudden they'll think they're talking to one another, but actually they're talking to me, and then I'm just forwarding their information along. So I can at least just sniff, which is sort of the monitor part. Then I could intercept any type of traffic they have, whether it be passwords or web addresses they go to. And I can also manipulate traffic. I can do a DOS. I could, send their traffic somewhere else. So that's kind of your man-in-the-middle attack. And same thing goes, that's talking about spoofing, is pretending to be somebody or not. So that's where the ARP spoofing comes in. They also call it ARP poisoning, and that poisoning means of the actual cache stored within a device. And when somebody says they poisoned the cache, it means, okay, I've manipulated your MAC to IP address tables, and now I've manipulated them, and so that's kind of where the poisoning comes in. And another problem with the ARP protocol as well is that an attacker can send an ARP reply and update the ARP table without even request. So that's kind of the danger of the protocol as well. So I can just hop onto any LAN whatsoever, and all of a sudden I can hop in and go, okay, boom, now I'm device A or I'm device B, and there's no authentication, and I can just go ahead and just forward that information along, and the protocol happily accepts it, and I'll automatically go ahead and update my table. So there's no authentication, and you can just pretend whoever you want to be. So that's kind of where the vulnerabilities come in, and here's where I'm hoping to do okay. And here's another little demonstration of the man-in-the-middle attack, where you could have basically you could pretend to be the hub, or you could be outside the hub. It doesn't matter here in this case. And then you're just, like I said, the traffic's just going through you, and then you can, at that point, you can do with it whatever you want to with the traffic. So. Okay, hopefully we're going to do a little demo here. This is going to be a little tough. So I'm going to fire up EtherCap here. Okay, so EtherCap, most of you that don't know, it's an application that can do sniffing. It's much like the Cain Enable of Windows. There's also some other programs that Matt mentioned that can do this as well. It just happens to be one I've played around with before. So start off with, we're going to go hit the sniff. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to go into unified sniffing and bridge sniffing. Bridge sniffing mainly if you have multiple network cards. So in this case, I only have one. So pick your interface. Okay, now you see you've got more options up here to play with. So now I want to go to host. I can actually scan for hosts on the network, and it's going to quickly scan for all the hosts on that Class C network. Okay, now it's done that, I can go and do host list, and now I've got a list of all the hosts that are on this network. And hopefully Bob over here is, what's your IP, Bob? 1.9? Yeah. Okay, I don't have that. You connected? Alright, let me try running it. I'll run it one more time here. So once again, sniff, unified sniffing, host, scan for host. Okay, I got you now. 9, right? Yep. Okay, so here it shows you, I know it's probably difficult to see, but basically it's just a list of IP addresses and MAC addresses that are on this network, the CarolinaCon wireless network. So now I'm going to go to targets, and I'm going to add some targets. Here I'm going to pretend to be the gateway, which is, or I'm targeting 2 addresses, the gateway 1.1, and then I'm going to target Bob over here, who is 1.9. Okay. Now that I've selected my 2 targets, I'm going to go ahead and start sniffing the traffic between the 2. So come up here and go start sniffing. Then you're going to come over here to the little man in the middle menu. So it's real kind of script kiddie, but either way. So ARP poisoning is your first option here. You got some DHCP. You want to sniff remote connections. Okay, so if you look at the very bottom down there, you can barely see it. It says ARP poisoning victims. It kind of shows you who you're doing there. So now I can come here and go to view and go to profiles. And all right, you're going to surf to a website or something. No, this should work. Let's see. Okay, you went to weather.com right there. And the weather.com is pulling in some images, pulling in some ads from fucking DoubleClick. And so that's just kind of the basic. You can see, okay, what sites are they surfing to? All right, that's kind of the basic one. Now let's go to the NC 2600 forum. And for most of you that don't know, this is what the NC 2600 don't log in yet. This is what the this is the forum to the NC 2600 forum, and down here at the bottom you see like a username and password, which is what all of us log into for the NC 2600 forum. I go back to EtherCap. If you look at the very bottom out here again, we're the group 1 and group 2. All right, go ahead and log in, Bob. Boom. It just picked up his password that was in the clear. Username Bob the Hacker. Password leaked.
I've changed that since.
Yes. So you can immediately see the effects of being on a network here, like in a hotel, is publicly for users you don't trust. I'm sitting here with EtherCap. I'm sniffing the NC 2600 form, which I'm sure maybe some of you log in today. So, and you can probably bet with 80% certainty that I'm sure Bob the Hacker's password for this is probably the same password he uses for his email account, his banking account, you name it. It's probably the same password as is mine. So you immediately got his username and password, which you can try at other places as well. Although this is a fictitious, go ahead.
That just because of the way the form works, that it logs in with clear text, or did it actually do anything to it?
Well, yeah, if it was SSL.
Right, yeah. And that's what we're going to get into talking about later. If it's SSL, then yes, it would not capture that. If it's encrypted, it's not going to see that. It has to be in the clear. Now, there are some older protocols, like older versions of SSL or older versions of SSH. FTP is in the clear. Telnet's in the clear. Any of that type of stuff. If it's in the clear, EtherCap is going to, it has all that functionality built in where it's going to capture usernames and passwords for you. But even some older versions of SSL, the ones that are vulnerable, it can also capture those as well. So if you're using an old version, a not up-to-date version of, say, SSL or SSH, it can capture that as well.
Does it do any SSL man-in-the-middle stuff?
Yes, it can, do fake certificates and things like that as well. Yeah. I'm not really going to go to a super-duper lot, but yeah, it has a lot of functionality that I'm not going to really get into today. So. And we'll go ahead and do one other little demo here. It's got some neat little plugins here. So we go to manage the plugins. And I'm going to do a quick little DOS here. And by the way, you can do a DOS on all users on that net. So I can easily do a DOS on all users on the CarolinaCon wireless network. So, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to enter Bob's IP address again. And it needs an unused IP address. Hopefully I can pick one without going back. So now see at the very bottom where it says DOS attack, 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 and go to a website, hold it up in there. But he's on the NC 2600 form, and you can see, well, on the very bottom, it's trying to search for a website, and it's going to come back, you know, with the can't find anything. So, and there you go, page not found. So, go ahead.
I'm a dummy when it comes to this. So, if I understand this, you found a person's MAC address, then you sniffed, and then you went and you took a new unused IP and you said, by the way, that's my MAC address too. So now you're man in the middle. Is that what I understand?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're pretending to be somebody you're not. Hence the whole spoofing thing.
What if somebody created a VLAN and then took a unused interface and just took up the rest of the IP addresses in that VLAN, so there is not an available IP address?
But that may not work. I don't really know the answer to the question, but that probably works. Because I guess you have to have an unused IP to in order to do the DOS. Now, if you want to do spoofing and intercept traffic, then you don't need a unused IP. So, just for the DOS.
Okay.
But,
Just the way that this whole program is working, it would work just the same on a wired network as it would on a wireless.
correct. Yeah.
All right.
So that's kind of the quick little demo there of EtherCap. It has some neat little filters too. I know. I don't know if anybody ever's been to irongeek.com. It's a. I'm not going to type it into the browser, but irongeek.com. It's a neat little. He's got a lot of flash tutorials about different types of stuff. He has one on art poisoning as well, where he filters and he can throw different images on a website. So normally when you have like ads popping up or something like that, he has like his own little image of whatever. Throw an image you want. So there's lots of little things that I really haven't even begun to experience with EtherCap. So, but that's basically the demo there. So.
EtherCap ships with Ethereal?
I'm not sure.
Comes in Ethereal package.
Is it?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So now, why is ARP insecure? Basically, like I said before, the ARP protocol was designed early in LAN technology, and it was great because it was simplicity. Basically, hey, you got a mapping of the IP to MAC. It solves all our problems. Everybody's trusted, right? We only have 4 computers on our network. We're talking with our other organization, you know, a couple of states over. You know, our protocol works great. And basically it was built upon a trusted network. And I never thought anybody would be malicious. It was in-house. They never thought it'd be sort of a public type of a protocol. So that's kind of where it came about. And like I said, the computers and the NIC cards were very, very expensive. You're talking like thousands of dollars just for a NIC, not alone the computer itself. So, and like I said, large organizations trusted everyone on their network, and even organizations still today, in-house organizations don't do much in regards as far as the ARP protocol and trying to defend against the ARP protocol. Any organization today, you know, if somehow you got inside the network, then you can immediately do a DOS and start sniffing traffic and, you know, you name it. So, and like I said, it was based on trusted model. So some of the lessons learned when we talk about this is don't trust anyone on a network that you don't control. Especially here at a hotel, that's number one, which we just which we've learned. Because anyone can be sniffing traffic on a public network. So at a coffee shop or a hotspot, any of that type of stuff possibly could be getting sniffed through EtherCap, Ethereal, Can Enable, you name it. There's lots of little script kiddie tools out there that can easily do it. And so one of the lessons you want to learn is to use encryption. We had some questions before. If you've, and I could have easily have gone to say like Gmail or a bank, any of those sites, you know, it's not going to capture that information. So you'll want to try to use SSL or a VPN where possible. That way all of your information is encrypted. Now this doesn't stop like DOS type stuff, but you know, at least they're not, you know, intercepting any of your information. So. Some of the countermeasures against the ARP protocol, there's not really a whole lot you can do, but some of the things if you want to try to do is use static ARP tables. I know that a lot of these cons, so like DEF CON and other ones, never been to DEF CON, but I've heard that basically what they'll do is, since they have a lot of users like us that want to come onto the network, and you got a lot of idiots that want to sit there and DOS the entire network, is they'll issue out MAC to IP address mappings. So when you come in, they're like, okay, you have to use this IP, and what is your MAC? Okay, so they go ahead and they'll build a static ARP table, ARP tables. That way, if somebody tries to come in and spoof someone else, they can immediately catch it. So, or not even catch it, you won't be able to manipulate it at all. So, but the thing about this, that sounds kosher on the initially, but the scalability is. It's impossible for a large organization to sit here and manage all these devices when you're talking about thousands and thousands of devices they have, whether it be Blackberries or computers or laptops. There's no way that they can sit there and control all their IP to MAC addressing, especially when, like I said, IP is global and it floats around. There's no way they can sit there and map all of those together, and that makes it difficult to maintain as well. So, but there is an application out there called ArpWatch. And it's a program that can alert administrators to malicious user activity when they try to manipulate ARP tables or they try to spoof someone. So an organization may not be able to do the static ARP table if they're a large organization, but what they can do is implement an ArpWatch application. That way, if a malicious user is inside their network, they go, somebody's trying to spoof us and possibly sniff some traffic. So, but there is no really good solution, and that's kind of the point I want to get across in this talk is ARP, and it can easily be spoofed, and there's no real good solution to fixing this protocol. So that's kind of where we stand today, and hopefully in the future, we'll have something that can do a little better job. So, but I think that's all I have. Any questions? Okay.
Why can't you just add a little bit of line of ARP code, I guess, and get it to say to accept ARP reply? You must have an ARP request.
Yeah, they do have, and I say that there are some OSs. I know, like Solaris Trusted implements you can't update, you can't manipulate the ARP table. I know Solaris runs that, but it's the only OS that I know of, unless somebody else knows something different, that will not let you manipulate the ARP table or try to spoof someone. But like your common OSs, and now they're running Linux, even running Windows, aren't gonna. They don't do that. They simply, if I say, hey, I want to be Ben or I want to be whomever, then the ARP table goes, okay. There's no authentication. You can be whomever you want to be on the network. So
this is kind of a thought. It appears that there's no way to get around this, but what if somebody could put a little algorithm that would put their IP and their MAC on a USB device, and you'd actually have, whenever you sit down in your chair, you'd have to plug in. So if you left and went to the bathroom, you take your IP address with you, with something like that. Sure,
yeah, and that's kind of where the static ARP tables come into play. You can do that. Like I said, you get to the point where the scalability isn't there, or that's difficult for an administrator to maintain his devices and keys and who's got what, and what if you want to change your IP, you get new devices on the network. So you're right, but it can be difficult to kind of manage. So.
This is actually probably going to require a little interaction from Mr. Hackerbob. Can we get him to look at his event log in Windows and see if that was logged?
Sure, I guess. I don't know how to do that, so.
Okay.
But you can, I tell you what, yeah, you can come up here and you take a look at it afterwards, or right now, either one. Any other questions? No? Appreciate it, guys.
I don't need it, I got mine. I like to be portable and get some feedback, apparently. One more announcement about t-shirts.